There have been some major changes to reporting requirements for payment apps like Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. If you receive business payments through any of these apps, then you absolutely need to know the new rules to prevent getting into a lot of trouble with the IRS. I'm going to break down everything that you need to know right now about these 3 payment apps, and I'll be answering questions from my subscribers to better help you. Let's dive in. Form 1099-K. The new IRS rule change for payment apps revolve around a specific form called Form 1099-K, payment card and third-party network transactions. If you're not familiar with Form 1099-K, it's the form that reports your business earnings received through payment cards or payment apps to the IRS. So if you earned any money through payment apps like Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, then this form is extremely relevant for you. For the past few years, the IRS has made a number of changes to the rules surrounding reporting requirements for payment apps like Cash App and Zelle. I'm going to quickly discuss these changes so that you can better understand the most recent changes that have occurred. Prior to 2021, payment app companies like Venmo and Cash App were only required to send 1099-K to users who received $20,000 in business payments for a calendar year. So if you earned less than that amount through these payment apps back then, the IRS would not even be notified of your earnings. And technically, you would still be obligated to pay taxes on them, but the IRS just wouldn't know and wouldn't be monitoring the earnings as closely. But then things changed. During the height of the pandemic in 2021, a law called the American Rescue Plan Act was passed during the Biden administration. Within the American Rescue Plan Act was a provision that changed the $20,000 1099-K threshold payment all the way down to just $600. As a result, this law, payment app companies were supposed to start issuing 1099-K forms on behalf of their customers who were receiving $600 in business income through their apps starting in 2023, but that is not what happened. Instead, there was a massive amount of complaints about this new rule change. Many tax professionals, payment companies, payment app customers all felt that it was too extreme of a rule change and that there was no time to adjust to it. Well, the IRS actually took all of this feedback into consideration and it moved the $600 threshold back to 2025. It also made 2024 a transition year where the threshold amount would be $5,000. This transitional year was designed to give people more time to get used to the changes. However, as 2025 approached, the IRS decided to make yet another change to the 1099-K reporting requirements. Here are the latest changes that I want you to know. In late November of 2024, the IRS decided to push the $600 reporting threshold back even further. In fact, it turned 2025 into another transitional year. However, instead of the 1099-K threshold remaining at $5,000 like it was in 2024, they pushed it to $2,500 for 2025. If you're someone who is receiving business payments through payment apps like Venmo or Cash App, then there will be yet another year before the 1099-K threshold goes down to $600. This will give you another year to adjust to the final $600 amount. But why do these rules even matter? At this point, you might be wondering, Karlton, why is this such a big issue with this 1099-K thing? Don't we still owe taxes on all of our business income regardless of whether or not the 1099-K is issued? Yes, you do still owe income taxes on business income you receive, even if it is below the reporting requirement of the threshold. The difference is that it's just going to be a lot clearer to the IRS that you're actually making the money from these payment apps and they get a report of it. So, whereas in the past, there might not have been an increased audit risk if you failed to report business income under $20,000 received through apps like Venmo, well, guess what? The IRS will be well aware if you are underreporting income from payment apps as long as you made enough money to trigger Form 1099-K. What about your personal payments and your reimbursements that you get from Venmo or these apps? Keep in mind that personal payments and reimbursements do not count towards the threshold to trigger Form 1099-K. And this is because these types of payments do not qualify for business payments. So let's say, for example, that you went out to a restaurant with 4 of your friends and the bill was $1,000. You decided to pick up the tab and you told your friends that they could Venmo you what they owed later. Well, when you receive that $800 worth of reimbursements from your friends in the following days, this money would not count towards your $2,500 1099K threshold for 2025. And that's because your friends weren't making business payments to you, they were reimbursing you. However, if you are an artist and you sold a painting on Instagram for $5,000 and your customer paid you through Cash App, then this would definitely count towards that $2,500 threshold for 1099Ks and one would be issued. Keeping payments separate is so important. It is crucial to remember that if you're going to be using payment apps for both business and personal reasons, that keeping these kinds of payments separate is vital. The reason is because if you don't, you could accidentally commingle funds, which could hypothetically cause you to pierce the corporate veil and lose your liability protection. And if you have an entity such as an LLC that offers liability protection, you might also pay additional income taxes. Many payment apps either give you the option or even require you to have separate business and personal accounts. It's a lot easier to keep your personal and your business payments separate if you have separate accounts for each type of payment. So if you're asking me what I would do, I would highly recommend that you set up separate accounts for business and personal if you're going to use any of these apps to do transactions. Some people also prefer to use different apps for different purposes. For example, a person might use PayPal for business and Venmo for personal transactions. This could work out very well too. But what about Zelle? Along with PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo, Zelle is another popular way for people to make and receive business payments. However, unlike the other apps I mentioned, the 1099K rules do not apply to Zelle. The reason why 1099K reporting requirements do not apply to Zelle is because Zelle doesn't actually process the payments itself. Instead, it acts like a middleman, helping to facilitate transactions directly between two parties. This makes Zelle exempt from the 1099K rules. The good news with this is that if you're someone who just absolutely hates the 1099K reporting requirements, then you can use Zelle for your business payments. You will still owe taxes on business income if you use Zelle. Keep that in mind. There will just be a little less IRS scrutiny due to the lack of the Form 1099K being produced. Now, what happens if you fail to report your income on the 1099K? Every single year, thousands of people underreport their income. It's not new. For many of these people, the underreporting is accidental, and for many others, it isn't. If you fail to report income from payment apps, then you need to know that there will now be a higher chance of you getting audited. If you are audited by the IRS, you could face fines and penalties, and sometimes potentially worse. If the IRS believes that you have committed various tax crimes, then there is a slight chance that you could end up in prison. That chance is very slight. For this reason, you need to make sure that you are accurately reporting all of the income that you're receiving as a business owner, and that 1099K in addition is being filed correctly. Don't make the mistake of thinking the IRS isn't going to be looking at these 1099K forms, because they will look at them. It is their requirement. Will the 1099K threshold ever return to 20,000? Many people are not too fond of the new lower thresholds for 1099Ks, and a lot of these people wish that the threshold would go back to 20,000, where it was before the American Rescue Plan Act that was initiated by the Democratic Party. It was passed under a Democratic president with very little support from Republicans. The bill had strong support from Democrats, but with Trump winning the 2024 election and the Republicans winning the Senate and maintaining control of the House, the Republicans will have a large amount of control in 2025. Considering that so many Republicans were against the Rescue Plan Act of 2021, there is a chance that they could vote to do away with some of its provisions, such as the $600 1099K reporting requirements that still exist. We can't say for sure that this will happen. However, there is at least some chance, and President Trump promised to rein in the IRS through his campaign. This could be one of the ways that he tries to do that. Here's a question that came in from one of my subscribers. As you guys know, I've been answering these questions for the last 6 months, and I'll continue to do so be sure to put your questions underneath the videos. I want to remind you guys to also sign up for the Tax-Free Wealth event. This challenge is happening from March 10th through March 14th. You can attend this event digitally from anywhere in the world. Over the course of 5 days, I'm going to teach you the most advanced, powerful tax strategies that I know. These strategies have significantly helped my clients cut their tax bills by 50 to 100%. So if you're sick of paying a large tax bill and you want to keep more of your hard-earned money, I want to see you at this live event. The link in the description is below. Be sure to sign up before tickets sell out. Now back to my subscriber. The question was asked by emaney3346 on my Avoid These Mistakes Before Starting an LLC video. The question was, If your house is under your LLC and somebody sues your LLC, what happens? That's a great question. The debt that is liable to you in the event of a lawsuit is to the extent of the equity you have in your home. The amount of money that is called upon in a lawsuit is relative to the persistence of that lawsuit and how you're being approached legally. However, in the event that you lose, some of the debt associated with your property will have to be paid, and the equity that's associated with your property will have to be turned over to the creditor that is suing you. Be sure to set up your LLCs with the right type of asset protection and the right type of anonymity, keeping your name and information off of the LLC. By doing so, this can limit the amount of lawsuits that can happen because most people who persist with the lawsuit know the person that they're suing. Most lawsuits that don't end up moving forward to fruition are lawsuits where the person that is suing doesn't fully have full recognition of who they're suing. So just something to keep in your back pocket as you're building your wealth. My name is Karlton Dennis. Thank you so much for watching this video. I want you to do something for me. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if this video was helpful for you. I'll be making more. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.